a thought process for how the show would go, so that was helpful. But to nail it down for this particular platform, it was really helpful to have worked with Seika so that the breaks and the goals would be organized. So I did take some notes in preparation of this meeting, and I wrote a little bit about the sound. The sound issue. So I hear that there was an echo through the broadcast. I got a couple of text messages about that. However, when I'm listening into the show, I can't hear an echo. It sounds fine. Like the guests sound fine. I hear Sam in the background that sounds fine. But when it's broadcasting, there's an echo. I do have a tabletop microphone now, and I was told that when I push it back away from my mouth, the sound was a little bit better. So if you have a tabletop kind of microphone, that might be helpful. Before on Seika's show, I used Apple regular ear pods, and that seemed to be fine, but there was some echo too. So I don't know what that's about, but anyway, I just wanted to sort of address that. I knew my guests really well, and that did help with the interview. I wanted to take the time to commend the Kometsa office because the guest communications with the invitation letter that was already drafted and Michael sending it out to the guest worked out really well. And then when Sam had us do the show premise and a bio within the letter, that was really well to help market the program. So I sent that to my guest. My guest was really easy because she's like, whatever works, but that's because we had a good relationship. But I can see when we have times where we're interviewing someone that we may know of and not necessarily know well, those tools that the Kometsa office has prepared, I think will be really there bar none. And I think that really does help formalize the process and really get people into the show. I'm going to set my schedule as pretty standard, like a break at 18 hours, 30 minutes, and then one at like 19 hours, 15 minutes. That was some notes to myself afterwards. I felt like that worked well. I'll give myself flexibility, but putting a strong intro in place is helpful. So that for each show introduces, I have my timer on for that. Sorry, I have my timer on in the background. But introducing yourself, revamping, why you're here for the show, welcoming the guests back, and helping them feel like it's a sense of community. Thank you for helping to build this sense of community, I think was helpful. And some of the people who I do know told me that that was good. Perhaps a tagline would be nice. Some people said, I said something in my show that like a couple of my friends laughed at. That were like, yeah, take that out. But anyway, I think having a close group of friends to help you navigate, like people that'll be truth tellers and tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. Yes, that's good. People that you trust that who really love you to give you candid feedback is helpful. Managing the guests between breaks we talked about during Seika's show, and having segment goals, I think is helpful. Knowing what the guest is an expert in and really being able to withdraw those gems from them and continuing to ask them what's coming up for them, and also really saying, I think the guests will really benefit from hearing this from you. So constantly managing the segment goals between breaks, I think is good. Then I wrote the outro should be for all of my humble opinion. But for myself, I'll speak for myself. I wanted to introduce the other shows, and I asked for the roster last minute, and I wish that I asked for it in advance. So I think it's nice to tease up the next show and be able to have all of the correct pronunciations and all of the correct endeavors. Like I was trying to announce the Global Entrepreneurship Week, and I couldn't remember the name. So just making notes of things that are important to invite other guests back. I'm almost finished. Tell them the next show date, promote Kometsa, and also promote your business. I didn't promote my business. That was a lesson learned. My people that were listening on my end were like, why didn't you promote your business? I was like, I didn't even think about that. I thought about it, but I didn't say it. Make sure to thank everybody for tuning in was my notes. And then some post-guest management, sending a thank you to guest, send like a follow-up thank you email note if you had their address, and letting them know when the podcast will be available, because they have their people listening. And I know right now I have a bunch of people who keep asking me, where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? When is it going to come out? So just trying to manage the dates of things so it becomes a bit well oiled. Like the next day the podcast is going to come out, or we give between, I don't know, 48 to 72, whatever it is, just to manage expectations with people. I'm grateful that people are asking about it on my personal my personal Facebook. A lot of people shared my announcement. So now people are like, I want to hear it. I didn't get a chance to tune in, because for us it's 11 a.m. instead of in the evening. So a lot of people are working. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Brilliant. I think the takeaway there, Janae, I really loved your intro. You dedicated so much time, because it was your first show. People were hearing you for the first time, and you dedicated time in sort of like introducing the show, and also the goals of the various segments were quite very clear, and of course using the time during the break to prepare her for the second round. I observed that, and I think that worked very well. I see Romeo. I'll give you a chance just now. But yes, I think I agree with you. You asked for the next shows to promote, and I was also struggling, and in some cases I sent you too much information. I thought that confused you quite a bit.
It did a little, but it was okay. It was okay. I was, as long as people know that there's other things to tune in, because I think when they hear you promote the show, they don't understand what's going on with the network, or that you're on a broadcast network. So I'm helping to bring clarity to people who are listening to me. They're like, what are you doing? And they're thinking, oh, it might be just one thing. And it's like, no, there's a lot of things that you can tune into on the network. So just like trying to help them understand the Kometsa Radio Network as well. Okay,
great. Romeo, it looks like is Romeo signed off. Maybe he was saying he's signing off. Okay.
No, usually I raise my hand, and then once you acknowledge me, I put it down.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Okay, so I think I've made a couple of observations. I don't know whether maybe I should speak at the end or speak now.
Now you feel free to speak, yeah.
Okay, so I think what I would want to do, and also I just want to acknowledge my co-host. I saw she's here as well, Tlalani. She actually took the liberty to call me and introduce herself, so that was very cool.
Yes.
I don't know if she's still here. All right. Number one, for me, the first thing I want to do for the show is have a format. If my show is 1 hour, I need to know what I'm doing in segments. So what am I doing in the first 2 minutes? What am I doing in the next 5 minutes? When does the guest arrive? Do they arrive exactly on top of the hour? Or do they arrive, usually I would say they would arrive, let's say 20 minutes once the show has started, because you've warmed up already.
Yes.
It's like you need to talk between the two of you as the hosts, so that you feel each other. I mean, if you don't know each other, you will clash. But it's important, obviously, pre-show is to kind of like have a meeting together and see what is our show about, what are we going to do, what are your strengths, where are you comfortable, to start, and then I join in. But also to answer the question of people saying, if you see that your host is drowning, usually what I would do if I'm drowning, I'll call my co-host's name. I'll like say, Kalani, and then she knows that she needs to cover me. So call each other, and I just say, oh, Kalani. And then she comes in, because then maybe I'm kind of like staggering. So that would be another thing. But every show, if you have an hour show, you must have segments. And the segment is like opening, and then also another thing, the issue of greeting. Because it's a digital, you don't want to say, oh, what a lovely weekend. Because what if I'm listening to your show 6 months from now? I'm listening to your show. So it's important, when you start your show, because it's digital, it's not a live radio where you can say, awesome weekend. You just say, welcome. And then the show name, obviously very important, the show name. And as Janae has said, your show must have a tagline. because the tagline also speaks to why people. So it's like the show format must always answer the question, why should I listen to your show when I'm spoiled for it? And then also the third point is content drives digital radio. Your content must kind of like have a lot of hooks. You know, it's like when you post on social media and all that, you must create a hook. You know, and how a hook works, you know, you hear a lot of DJs saying, after the break, I'm going to play you this song. It's a hook, because they know that people usually tune out during the break because maybe they don't like the ad. So you need to have hooks. And the hook says, you know what, I definitely need to listen to. So you have to work on your content. And there's a lot of books that talk about copywriting, you know, and there's a lot of free stuff that talks about, you know, writing digital content. But your content will drive the digital traffic your way. And then also the issue of what we call a social media overflow. You can have a pre-flow or a post-flow. So it's like you actually need to start the conversation on social media. Maybe you start it 2 hours before your show, and you get people talking, and then you get them to listen because you've already told them, today we are talking about this. We have so-and-so in the studio. Listen in for the next hour as they unpack what we do.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
You kind of like say, what did you guys think? So you could actually be creative. Yeah, it can be created like that. And also, for example, I mean, we could consider, let's say Kalana and I can say, let's record at my house, have a guest at my house, you know, I'm just thinking of this. And then we can syndicate that to YouTube and Facebook Live, you know, because all of us are sitting in the same place. For example, I've got a very, very good, reliable internet. Then maybe, let's say, if my guests are comfortable, we can find a way to do it at my house. And then we know that we don't stress who's sitting where and all that. Obviously, that depends on the capability of the patient. Of your guests. And very, very important, I think Denise said this as well. First, invite the people that you know. So in terms of, you know, it's really about subject matter. It's not about inviting famous people. You can invite, as you start, invite a good friend who's good at art, a good friend who's good with nature, environmentally. So, because you know that, you know, radio is all about having a conversation. The good thing is just others are listening. You know, it's like being with your best friend and you're catching up after a long time having seen each other after the lockdown. And then every show must have a strategy. What is your strategy? Because the strategy will drive the content. If we don't have a strategy, we'll just be touching on different topics. You kind of like don't have a proper series saying, you know, part one, we're touching on this. It's going to be a 12-part series, and we're going to be addressing this at the end. We want you to learn this. You know, what is the show outcome, basically, so that people can keep coming back more. And then profiling, on the artist profiling, what I would do, or what I used to do when I was still on live radio, is also very, very important. I think some others are touching on it. Google is your best friend. Most of us are on Google. So if I can get a little bit of basics about the guest, but more importantly, so you also need to have a plan. Why are you inviting someone? Number one, you talk about their personality, their awesome life, if they don't mind, their experiences, what they do, but also what is the takeaway? Why did you invite this guest? What do you want this guest to teach your listener? That's very important. It's not about getting a guest and you ask them how many cars they have, do they drive a Bentley? You find that that's irrelevant to your audience. Another thing is your audience analysis. Who does your show speak to? What is your LSM? Is your show speaking to 18 to 39? Is it speaking to kids? Who is it speaking to? Because that will also drive the type of content that you need to do. And then lastly, I think what you want to do to avoid, you know, the strugglings during the show, you can actually pre-schedule your questions. You know, it's like, you know, if you're getting, Rasem knows this, if you're getting invited to the show, they'll send you questions and saying, this is what we're going to talk about.
Great point.
Write the questions down. And then that's how you liaise with your, you liaise with your guest and saying, this is what I'm going to talk about. Are you comfortable? Change it. You know, want to add something. That's where you'll get your guest giving you the best of themselves because you prep them. And then that way, then you and your co-host also go through those questions. Then you know who's asking which questions to avoid a situation where one person is talking an odd or less, so that those questions will give you. And then obviously your outro, you know, how do you end the show? Obviously, if you are more organized, you can actually tell them what you're going to talk about next week. Because you can actually do your show. If you're doing your show 4 times a month, you can already have 4 topics so that you throw it forward and tell people what to expect next. Because that's the thing. If you don't tell me, I don't come back. And the problem with the internet, people forget. If you don't have a nice nudge, they will completely forget. So that's my observation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. This is exactly the point I was raising, that we are generating knowledge as we go along. And thanks, Brother Romeo, for stepping in, because this is really very helpful. I mean, you raise quite pertinent issues. And as I said, start thinking about the uniqueness of your own show rather than being told by us in the office, because we only know as far as putting together this collective program, but your show is your own enterprise. And I like the idea, if you are able to be together, is even better. But obviously, this is a virtual show. You don't have to be together, but you can plan together. Thank you very much, Brother Romeo. We really appreciate that. But again, as I said, that we are on a journey. It's no pressure at all on any one of us. It is, but at the same time, we need to use advantage of people like yourself, Brother Romeo. And I hope you also understand that some of us are going to need to take the baby steps, right? Brother Romeo?
Can you repeat that, please?
I was saying that as much as we want to benefit and capitalize on your experience, we also want to create a space for people to take the baby steps, because we are on a learning journey.
No, definitely. And I think you answered the question correctly to say it's good. And the most important thing is to start. Once you start, you have reference. And when you have, the fact that we can just, all of us get thrown to the deep end. That's how we all started.
Yes.
Get thrown to the deep end and just learn to swim. And that's very, very important.
Yes.
And what I wanted to mention is the issue of ethics, radio ethics. It's very important that when you invite your guests or you are with your co-host, don't throw each other under the bus, or don't embarrass your guest. You at all costs make your guest as much comfortable as possible, because you'll find that most of them are not video interviews. You need to make them relax. You need to make them enjoy that space. So that's why you need to kind of like have rapport, talk about the car, talk about something that can make them chill into your interview. But ethics, so radio ethics must be part of the policy, to make sure that none of us will bring the radio component into this whatever. Because imagine BCCS say we need to know that the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, what if they are listening and they find that we're making those mistakes, and then suddenly we get into trouble. So we need to think about those.
Yes, absolutely. We were also discussing about the importance of sometimes sharing the questions with the guest in advance, if you feel you need to do that. I don't know whether that is the best practice, but for me, if you have prepared your guest and they are a subject matter expert, there shouldn't be surprises.
That's very true. That's very true. All I'm saying is, I'm coming to add value to your show. It's important that you tell me. So as a guest, if I speak as a guest, for example, you must tell me, I'm there to make your show awesome. I'm there to make you shine. You need to prep me enough so that I make you look good. Even if you are not the best of interviewers, if you prep me enough, I'll make...
Great. We seem to be losing you, Brother Romeo, but we got your point. Thank you very much. Who's next who has had a show so far? Tendani?
Good evening, Brasem. Good evening to everyone. Yes, my first show. Wow, it was, for me, I think what I said to myself was, this is going to be a conversation. Yes, it's radio and it's online. In terms of preparation, I made sure that on my social media, on my social media platform, I've put it on adverts, on my walls, I think 2 days before or even the morning of the show as well. And in terms of connectivity, I did my best. I tried to situate myself in a place where the connection. Well, the show overall, the preparation and the way the show went was pretty much different. I had a lot of information and a lot of notes that I prepared that this is what we're going to discuss and all that. But Sam, you made it very easy. You made it like a conversation for me. It didn't, have to involve a lot of information that I prepared, but everything was just flowing. Because we didn't have a guest, so it's totally going to be different from the Friday show that is coming up. But I've learned quite a few things, in terms of relaxing your voice. That makes a lot of impact, because you don't want to sound like you are reading what you're saying. You just need to relax your voice and then have a conversation with your next your co-host. And in our case, we were 3, so for me, I think everything went fine. I didn't have challenges with connectivity, and I'm actually looking forward to Friday, because I'll be having a guest. I have questions already prepared for him. Now that Romeo mentioned that maybe we should share the questions with the guest, I think I will have to do that with my guest today, and just for him to have an idea of the kind of questions that are coming forward. And also, I'm prepared. I know the guest is coming, so I think it's going to be an easy interview like Janae's one. She knew the guest very well, so I also made sure that I've got somebody that I know just for a startup for a show. I think for now, I think that's all I have to say.
Beautiful stuff. And I think you raised something that is very important. Maybe sometimes we're putting ourselves under pressure unnecessarily. We did mention in Module 1 that it is also okay if you are the co-host and your first show is just between 2 of you talking about your show. And which is what has happened between you and Emmanuel. And you have never met with Emmanuel, so that was actually quite a good opportunity for you to sort of like talk about your programs, and I came in and then asked a little bit about yourself. So those baby steps I'm talking about. Don't try to be up there so quick, because then you're putting yourself under pressure. So I really enjoyed your show with your co-host. And of course, this one we did design it that way, and it's going to go on like that. But even with the show, the one you were having on Friday, you could have actually chosen any of the colleagues here and have a show about your show.
Definitely, Sam. I just what I picked up is that when you're having a co-host and you probably had discussed before the show, it adds more value. It flows more easier than when you're just meeting up, on the show. Like you said, Romeo was saying that maybe we need to have like a schedule to say on the first 2 minutes, this is what I'm going to do, of which that's what we did with him. That we spoke, the weather and, from the different parts of the world where we were. And by the time we got into the show, we were both a bit relaxed. It was easy just to get into the topic.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Let me also remind ourselves that in the those who are in the talent development, the concept of adult learning, it also means that as we are talking right now, I hope you are identifying resources among ourselves. I overemphasize, you all know Romeo, so you all know that you can go to him for coaching. But you also know some of the people like Sydney, who has done so many shows now, that you can also reach out to and ask for help. Because if you don't do that, you're going to do the same mistake that they did, which can actually be avoided. So just keep that in mind, that we are learning, co-learning, and it's a peer learning, we are mentoring each other. You are all going to evolve, and Romeo will tell you are all going to evolve in your own style, which maybe you don't even know what your style is, but it's going to evolve. So don't rush, don't put yourself under pressure. Talk to people that you are familiar with, bring them into the studio. However, I can tell you, for me, I'm not bothered by the mistakes you are doing as long as we learn from them. And therefore, it's very important also to be open with your guests, that this platform is a development platform, but at the same time, we want it to be very much informative, and we want to get it right as quick as possible. Then they become very collaborative. And that's what I did tell Bonang, and he was quite very much helpful as well because of us being open with them as to what we want to achieve. And I think, Sekhau, you can confirm that Bonang contacted you with a follow-up guest, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So that means he now appreciated what we did. Now he's referring guests to Sekhau to bring into the studio. So they are supportive of the idea. Great. Let's move on. Thank you very much, Tendani. Who's next? Emmanuel is not on the line, Tendani? No, it's not here.
No, Emmanuel he's not here, yes.
Okay, let's move on with Maynard. You are here. You did 2 already within 2 days.
Yes, good evening, colleagues. I've done 2 shows in a row. The first show, really, it was shaking for me. I didn't know what to prepare on that one. I was just all over the place, and I've been contacting Michael, I've been contacting you, Sam, because I was panicking. But luckily, you advised me not to panic and not to over-prepare, and that's exactly what I did. I just took it lightly and then came on the show. It's unfortunate that the first show we had difficulties in terms of technology, but we managed to go through at the end of the day. So I'm very new in the radio industry or in this kind of visual studios, but I've been in TV a lot. I mean, I've been a background artist, and I've been a featured artist in lots of soapies and one movie that I've been acted on. So I've been on TV a lot, and now to adjust to the radio industry, it didn't become a lot of work to do. So I'm adjusting very well, and today's show, I'm very excited how it went through, because I think it was just flowing for me. So it shows that, yesterday I was just panicking for nothing. Today, at least, I've been doing very, 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 very well on that. So it's quite interesting, this journey, and I think Romeo mentioned a lot of important points there. I've learned a lot from his points. I was making a few notes there when he speaks. So, but I think I've learned a lot from his points. So to my side, like for sure, as I've said, like I'm still learning, but I believe that our next show is gonna be exciting with Ingrid, and I don't think she's also online yet. I didn't see her. So, but I think we are doing well, because we were over preparing for the first show, myself and her. She kept on calling me almost after a few hours, like, Maynard, really, I'm panicking. It's like, no, even myself, I'm panicking, but let's take it easy. We've been over preparing for the show, but luckily we came around, and even now we are still planning on how we are going to execute the next show, because I believe maybe on that time maybe we won't be hosting the show alone, but we are preparing for the show on how we are going to execute the whole project, because it's going to be a very long-term project. So we are planning on how we are going to execute it, and I believe we're going to get it right, and we are here to learn from you guys. I think most of you have been running few shows already so far, so we are here to learn, and I'm prepared to learn everything from you guys as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I could feel your energy today, and I was like, wow, is this Maynard? I mean, yesterday it was really all over, but today you are on fire. You were on fire. I think you must have inspired Brother Ruben Rambuta, because he was doing his first show today. But before I go to Ruben, I saw a hand being raised by Sydney.
Yes. Thank you so much, Blossom. And I just wanted to, get, some view on what Romeo has spoken about. If you can help us in terms of able to extract that information in terms of the kind of people who are listening to our show, because I think that's very important in terms of helping us to prepare how to position the show.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. Statistics might not be that much dependable. Remember, we have just started, so it's a little bit difficult now. But you can imagine. I mean, if you just have to go into the objective of the show, we are a business, entrepreneurship, and professional management services radio station. We are what they call in the internet radio space a brand station. That's why it's linked to Comeza brand. And Comeza is a human capital development organization with a huge focus on coaching, mentorship, consulting. But specifically our core is human capital development. And in this case, we are using adult learning approach, which is learning by doing, co-learning, learning by making mistakes, using the conscious competency development model, where we actually, first we throw you into a deep end so that you can move from the point of unconscious incompetency to a level of conscious incompetence. What that means is that at the moment when you start, you don't know what you don't know. That's what unconscious incompetency is.
Yeah.
And then you put it to a point where we now make you so uncomfortable about the mistake you have done. We call it, you now reach a level where you are consciously incompetent. You know what you don't know, which is what many of you are going through now. Because we are now telling you what you don't, we are telling you something now you can relate to. What Romeo is telling you now is telling you, my friend, this is what normally happens when you run a show. Now you become consciously incompetent, you become unsettled. What you are now going to do, you are going to take some action steps to push you to a level where you now get to a point of consciously competent, which now you know what you know. Like you, Sydney, when you started, you didn't know what you didn't know. And now, after the first show, everybody was saying, oh, Sydney, second show, you hit it. Because now you knew what to correct. Now you are at a level where you are consciously competent, and we can feel it in your show. When you open up, you are so confident because you know what you know. What we are going to end up is where Romeo and them are, where you become unconsciously competent. It's like riding a bicycle. It doesn't matter when last you rode a bicycle. If I give you a bicycle now, you just take it and drive it, ride it, right? So that is basically what adult learning is all about. You have to feel the pain of having made a mistake and laugh at yourself. And I'm surprised the pace at which Maynard moved from yesterday to today. I've never experienced it. I don't know what he's made of.
Wow, that's awesome.
Is that clear?
And maybe the last one, Prasem, for me, I think there's a point that was made, I think by Tendai or someone else in the team. Like if our technical team, or it's Janae, if our technical team maybe, because I always want also to, to actually, have a hook of what is coming next, just to entice listeners about the coming shows. And sometimes, I'll be looking, and because of the, our emails, our messages, I've got many groups, and I will be spending a lot of time trying to check who's the next show that is coming that I can, talk about on the show. And if probably we may be helped to at least get one or two shows on a day is easier, but maybe let's say on Monday or Tuesday, just to get our listeners also.
It is a first responsibility. You know your show is coming and you want to announce other shows. All what you do, you call Michael and say, what are the next shows after me? Because if you are going to sending email of the next shows, some people don't have a need for it, then it becomes, again, lost in the middle there. But it's a good point, absolutely. It's a good point that was raised by Janae and Romeo as well. Yeah. So great stuff. Thank you for adding on to that. Ruben, maybe before we go to Mr. Rambuda, let's go to yesterday's colleagues, Mr. Chimule and Mr. Mulivani, Rabula and Ramavak. Let's start with Ramavak.
Yes, Mr. Zima, thanks a lot. Good evening, colleagues. Yes, our show yesterday was something out of this world in terms of challenges. We had secured 2 guests for the show about a week or 2 ago. But, it was just over the weekend, Saturday and the last one on Monday before the Tuesday show, that sending messages of unavailability. So that created panic in a long way. But fortunately, earlier after getting the schedule and my involvement in directorship and governance 101 conversations, I started planting the message and going, as somebody said, that, invite people that because they can be able to now have reports, and then the content, the rest as to whether it's a powerful speaker or not is something else. Secondly, also I had sensitized Mr. Mudibani also about 4 weeks or 3 weeks ago to say, my brother, what about a possibility of co-hosting in terms of what we have to achieve? And I think it was about a week or two later when he said, you know what, I'm toying with that idea of co-hosting. I think let's just put that on standby. So when now I experienced this, I had to resend, even though I had marketed it very well within my networks and people that I know are subject specialists around directorship and governance and also capacity building. Then, I said, who else can I conjure? I advised Rapula about my situation to say there is a challenge here. He started searching, and I went back to one of my colleagues, our guest last night. Worked with Peter some few years ago, and they say it's good to keep cordial relationships with the people that we have engaged with in the past. So when now on Monday I said, Peter, I didn't even have to explain that, my other speakers disappointed me. I said, you remember what you spoke about? It's happening tomorrow. What's your take? Are you available or not? And they just said, I'm on board. Then I threshed out the topic, because I had detailed down the objective of the show, the theme, and the intended deliverables, even the questions that I thought through them will give us some insights as to what we have to drive as part of what we're trying to do, because we say this is setting the tone, so we don't want to go into details, but we have to start on the basics of what directorship, what governance is, and then later look at the impact of the latest developments on that. So, but he was quite good. The only challenge was technology, because I think within the 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the show, I disappeared. Fortunately enough, Rapula came in to rescue the situation. Then later, when we reconnected, I think we managed to have engagements for about 30 to 40 minutes without any disruption, which was, quite comforting along the way. So knowing your client or your guest especially, Rapula I come a long way with. We were baptized in the PMF, and that's why we're able to touch base easily to say what's possible, because I looked at strategy and its interrelationship with directorship and governance, because where there's leadership, you have to find, strategic leadership and strategies to be able to implement your governance systems and things like that. And maybe the other advantage I had is, even though I was not hosting, but I did some radio interviews back in some few years ago, even fortunately enough by the late Voyo, and also did some radio interviews, but not as a host, but I also facilitated some workshopped, presented at conferences and things like that. So public speaking, once one gets into the rhythm, I think we'll be able to achieve something great, and having a co-host who looks at the blind spots and redirect discussion sometimes to get more out of that helped yesterday, because Rapula was able to cut in to get more out of the speaker. He was knowledgeable, he was relaxed, he was confident. I think we would have had a very seamless, engaging discussion around our topic.
Great stuff. Your situation yesterday was a typical example of what will happen if you have prepared as if your co-host is a reserve.
Yeah.
So, and then I think the learnings for me that I took from your session yesterday was that, and that's why I even dropped a WhatsApp message to say, guys, just make sure that you are sure you don't present it alone. Because if you are alone and then you disappear, you're leaving us, the production team, with your guest. And we have not prepared thoroughly like you did. So it is advisable to make it a best practice that if you don't have a co-host, find somebody within the group like Adel did, where he said, okay, strategy, directorship and governance, they are very related. And on top of that, we even added management and leadership. So we created now a WhatsApp group for strategy 101 conversation, directorship and governance 101 conversation, management and leadership 101 conversations. And now there's 6 colleagues, or I don't know how many you are. The colleagues now can communicate and align things, because we thought these 3, similarly to what Patrick and Captain Busese and Sydney did. That, for me, is the best collaboration ever. But as I say, don't present alone, because it is hard, it is challenging to be alone if you are going to have challenges. But also, it just makes it dynamic when you have 2 of you. And it worked very well, and I really enjoyed the show. And I must tell you, Peter was on his best, even though we had challenges. But whenever he was able to talk, I think that podcast you won't even pick it up, that it had that difficulties. We'll share that with you soon, Adel. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the beauty is we shared the questions with him up front.
Oh, yes.
And then we had a discussion about 2 to 3 hours when he said, I'm traveling. Once I get to my location, I'm going to look for a location that has got better reception and things like that. But the contours of our country, so there were a bit of sub-network challenges. And I shared, the format, the approach with Rapula as I was, engaging on assistance and everything else. And as to what approach and what questions I put forward. And he was able to add from his angle, reacting from what the speaker was saying, so that it can go to, now add different dimensions to what we were talking about. But I think he's now in. He will be able to shed more light as to the dynamics that we had to go through, and the beauty of collaboration and engagement, sharing some of the challenges, dynamics, and the beauty of our learning process.
Beautiful. I must commend you and Rapula because I mean your e-flyer, that document that you used to prepare is quite very, very much helpful, and I could see the link between the objectives of your show plus also that of the the whole show plus that of particular episode of yesterday. Yeah, I can see you, Janae. I'll give you a chance just now. I think that the point I want to raise as well, and also Romeo raised this, the objectives and of your whole show as an enterprise is very important. The strategy of your show is very important, because then when you brief and invite your guests, you are guided by what you want your show to achieve, and that was clear in your show yesterday, that it had informed your briefing to Peter. Okay, great. Janae, you wanted to say something, and then after you, Romeo. Yes, Abel, you still want last more point?
No, I just say just that at the closing,
yes,
we need guidance as to how can the audience get hold of us. In terms of if they want to engage more and things like that. But at least we party a brand of commercial radio quite frequently, so that they understand as to what radio station are they on, what topic are we engaging, and where are we going.
Beautiful. Can I just ask, before I come to you, Janae and Romeo, can I just ask Rapula to comment because he was co-hosting with Evel yesterday?
Sean, thank you very much. The only thing which I can say is technology threw me a bit end yesterday because it changes our planning in terms of how we're going to manage the discussion with the guest yesterday. So, key to the learning there, I was going to say, have plan B, even if you can have plan A. And then, in addition to plan B, you must have plan C. So, as to make sure that there is a continuity and correlation, because when technology throw you out, it may also throw you out in terms of the sequence of the program itself and even the rationale behind the program. So it's more to say that how you come down and then revert back to those objectives of the show.
Good point, because at some stage Peter disappeared. Good point, because at some stage Peter disappeared, and the two of you were alone. You should have then gone to your plan B. What happens if the guests get cut and you are left alone in the studio? Do you keep quiet? What happens? Of course, we can always put the music, but that's not always ideal.
Yeah, exactly the same things happened yesterday. Both Abel and Peter disappeared, and I was alone in the studio. So it's more to say that how do you take what I call plan C? What's the plan C around there?
Yes.
And then.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
How do you keep the audience
engaged? Yeah. Janae and then Romeo.
Thank you. My question was for Abel. I was when I was listening to you, I was trying to figure out. Did you say that? Were you concerned? Was there a concern about whether or not your guest was going to be there, or confirmation with your guest? And my question is coming from if that's indeed what I heard. What came up for me is that's a good point. Is that something could come up for the guest and the guest may not be available or they're not confirming quickly enough, and to maybe tap into another co-host if that happens. Like if what happens if your guest the day before says, can't make it, something came up, maybe tapping into the co-host for the show for something like that. Is that what I heard, Abel? I could be wrong, but I thought I heard that you said it.
Yeah, he said that the earlier guest
was...
Yeah, carry on, Ada.
The two guests that I have secured for the day withdrew at the 11th hour, one on Saturday, one on Monday during the day. But already I had sensitized, few other guests, potential guests, who I was thinking they will be able to come in subsequent shows. So when now this one's disappointed me, I remember at one stage Michael said, there's going to be no show tomorrow, and I was panicking to say inaugural show. So then I had to dig deep into resources. I went even to LinkedIn to intensify my search. There was a guy that was the CFO at Nelson Mandela Children's Fund that I knew from the long time ago, a CA and an auditor. And also I had prepped him to say, can you come on board? And he was also ready. So when, I discussed with Mr. Zimba, I said, no, guests is enough for the show. And he also know Peter. then we felt that let's just give Peter the space, because Rapula also was talking to another NetBank guru, Farouk, to be able to come on board. So after engagement with Mr. Zima, then we said, let's reserve those for next time. Let's focus on Mr. Boyson, because I know his depth knowledge around the subject matter and his love for training, capacity building. You could hear even last night he was very keen on some of the issues. Yes, disappointment by the guests. Then you had to be on your toes to find a replacement.
Cool. Thank you, Abel. Thank you for answering my question. I wanted to make sure I heard that correctly, and it sounds like you had a good plan B. Thanks so much for sharing that.
But I also hear you, Janae, saying that among ourselves, that's why we want you to introduce yourself to each other, get to know each other. Among ourselves, if it comes to a push, we are all professionals and we are experts on a number of topics. He could have also called any one of us in the group to become the guest, right?
Yep. That's what I was driving at too.
Beautiful.
But I didn't consider what if somebody drops out. So thank you for just.
Great, Brother Romeo.
Yes. Thank you so much. No shows. I think no shows are inevitable, because sometimes there could be an act of God. Someone could lose a loved one. Someone could be involved in an accident. Someone could, there could be life as we know it is unpredictable. So usually what we do there is to actually have, as Cometa, we would have stand-in coaches or stand-in guests. So the organization must, because already we know the formats of the shows, already we start having people, as Bassem says, we are in the business of human capital development, management. And then we have people to say, can you buy into our vision and be on standby for us, because we know here are the topics or here are the shows, and these are the show names and what they stand for. Be on standby for us just in case, but we will alert you when it happens. That could be an idea. Okay? And the second one is the issue of coming up with a database up front. So you need to make a database of all the people that you are going to invite. And that's why when we talk about planning your show for 4 weeks in advance, then you start having people, on kind of on speed dial, or already you have resources to tap into. So if you have 4 people to call, perhaps 3 turn you down, 1 agrees. So it's always good to have those in advance. And I think the last part is, I think I've covered all the parts. So the act of God is so no shows, and I'm glad one of us spoke about, I don't remember who it was, but no shows will definitely happen. We need to get ready for that. And then let's make sure that we plan our shows 4 weeks in advance, because usually then people will also tell you in advance that they are not coming. If someone knows that they are coming 2 weeks from now and already something comes up, they alert you on time, then at least that could be a mitigating factor. But more importantly, if you have a radio show, you need to have a database of guests so that you have enough people to go to. No shows happen.
Wonderful. Great stuff. Thank you very much. You'll see on the letters that we send to our guests, and we copy you, that when we invite them for a specific show, but we also acknowledge them to say we are happy that you are agreeing to become a regular guest. So we're sort of hinting to that, and we'll take that note further and build that database. Ruben and Dadirambut.
Thank you, colleagues.
Fresh from the box today.
Yeah, really, I'm still a bit exhausted from the session today. But I think in terms of preparation, I think the office also did a very good job, because they sent me the test links, I think, well on time. And the session, I think if I have to take you into my world, I will say the session went on very well. Although I think in terms of the other reflection, I got a comment that it's like I was echoing somewhere. I'm not so sure exactly what would have happened, but lucky enough, I didn't disappear. Like I had most of my colleagues disappearing, so I never disappeared. And I think in terms of the content, I think there was quite a very thorough preparation. But fortunately, also above preparation, I think the topic is really part of my I would say culture, if I have to put it to extreme. So what the themes were, I think, is part of what I do almost every day. So it was quite interesting to have a platform to share for the good of our listeners. And I've already learned quite a lot from the colleagues. As I prepare I'll be co-hosting another session, I think on the 16th. So myself and the co-host, we are already talking. Fortunately, we know each other from commenter, coaches and mentors of South Africa. So we know each other. So we have already drawn the structure according to, and I heard the advice that most of you guys were giving. I just really want to appreciate the opportunity, and I think from my own reflection, that is what I can say. But as a learning platform, it is always important to get all the feedbacks from some of my colleagues, and because it's a learning journey, so I appreciate quite a lot. Wonderful. I don't have to prolong. Thank you so much for this platform. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm mindful of the fact that we have 30 minutes to go, and I will be doing injustice if I don't give those who are attending for the first time to introduce themselves. And I see Muriko has made a comment there, which is great. Do you want to take it from there, Muriko, and introduce yourself, who you are, what you do in your day-to-day life? But also, thank you for that powerful point there in terms of what you are getting from the colleagues.
Thanks, Sam. My network is very poor, so I hope you can hear me. But look, I think it's very great to hear people who have already done this. It's always unnerving when you are just about to do it and you are preparing for it. But when I hear the colleagues and the fellow DJs, it's sounding like it's a positive spirit. People are enjoying what they're doing. Challenges there and there, but we are seeming to be on the right track. I will be co-hosting, so I think one of the issues I want to hear from the colleagues is how does it feel how is it different when you are, because you need the chemistry to actually work with somebody, and is it enough? Because I had somebody, I think it's Hamid and Janai, who said they met twice before they had the show.
Yes.
Is that, did they feel that is enough, or did they feel that they needed a little bit more? I think for me, with my co-host, we are very well. Chemistry is good. We are all good. But should we meet more, or should we, that kind of advice? And I think the last one I wanted to ask is, did the colleagues listen to themselves on the podcast? And how does it feel to listen to yourself after the show? Like, is it?
Great stuff. Good questions. Just hold on to answers. Quickly, just introduce yourself. I know we're running out of time, but just quickly, without going into details.
All right. So, Mudiko Patan, I work for the Department of Science of Innovation, and I'm mostly focusing on international innovation. So, my show is going to be looking at ICT and issues around 4IR. I'm based in Pretoria at the moment.
Yes, and your partner in terms of co-hosting is a Jutish what's her name? Wujeja Khoroba, Yes. By the way, she couldn't attend today because she moved houses and she has got no Wi-Fi connection, so she apologized.
Yes, we meet you tomorrow. She explained that to me. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Kalani, do you want to introduce? Please, those who want to answer the two questions that Mudiko has raised, please do so I just want to cover the new ones. Before we log out, please try to respond to his question. Kalani, welcome to the family. You are not new to the family, but you are new to the platform. Sorry. Kalani, are you there? Let me unmute you. Are you unmuted now?
Yes, let me see.
Yes. Just quickly introduce yourself. I know you. Romeo has already mentioned your name, so we know you are going to be co-hosting with him. You are a lucky one, co-hosting with the expert.
Yes, I'm a lucky one. I just realized that because we haven't had our first meeting, and I contacted him just to say that I think we need to meet and look at our topic and decide on our. So I'm happy to be with you on this noble journey. I've never been on radio before, but I'm excited that I will be able to work with Romeo, having decided on what it is that we are bringing and the guests that we are bringing. It's going to be fun. I missed the first lesson or the first module of the training, but I have been listening to some of the broad sessions. I'm aware of the challenges that we've been facing, but I'm comforted by the fact that Brasem says we should relax, knowing that it's a training ground. Because at first I almost shared the sentiments to say maybe we should have some pre-recording. But I see there's a lot of support around the group in terms of the comments that get made during the actual broadcast. But even now, I'm taking notes in terms of how best to be prepared, how best to make sure that, like what Romeo is saying now, to say at least you should have a database of guests around the topic. So it means in as much as you could be preparing for the first one, we should think long term to say, actually, this is our vision for our topic and this is where we want it to be going. And we can be lining up everybody that we would like to invite. It's going to put us on the map for some of us who are not or who haven't been a lot on social media. So I'm encouraged that it's going to bring a lot of changes to myself and to Cometa as well.
Beautiful.
So our session is not yet here. So for now, I'm just learning and wanting to assimilate as much as possible from those who have been. Beautiful. So that we do the best.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Kalani. Pat, you have a question?
No, I wanted to reply to Mudiko.
Yes.
Yeah, Mudiko, it's Patrick. Listen, myself and my co-host, we met about 4 times and we still didn't feel we were ready. So you can, and it was until after we were relaxed, you will never be 100% ready that we were ready. We felt we were okay to go on with the show. But it doesn't really matter how much times we met. I think it's also just, it was our first time hosting the radio. We were panicking and stuff like those. It's meet as much as you.
Great stuff.
Possible to meet. Convince yourself that you're 100%. And it's always good to listen to a podcast because it gives you opportunity to reflect on your preparation. Gives opportunity to re-prepare going forward or to correct what you feel. There's gonna be a lot of things that you don't like about it, but that's just it. It does what you must just accept as it is and correct yourself going forward. Thanks.
Great stuff. Thank you, Pat. Mr. Munahot, is there somebody who wants to talk? Scha?
Okay. On my end, another thing that helped us, 2 times, I think it was kind of, because our meeting was quite long, so we did discuss our fears initially, and we understood where each and other stand. And when it comes to preparing, what actually prepared us so that we don't panic, we listened to the first shows before our shows. So we could hear 1, 2, 3 is capable of happening. We don't want that to happen at our show. But if it happens, how do we pick ourselves up? So listening to the other shows will also prepare you for your show.
Beautiful. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Mr. Munahotla, is your first attending today, but I know you have listened to a couple of shows. We're running out of time, but just quickly tell us who you are and, what are you picking up from the session? Dade Munahotla? Mr. Munahotla, okay, he's still struggling, I guess. Ndate Masinya.
Yes, Brother.
Any, just quickly, who you did introduce yourself, sorry. Apologies. You did introduce yourself,
yes.
Yours is with Bra Fisher and Mr. Maloka, ne?
Maloka, yes. Yeah.
And you are, from what you said to me, that you are still in discussion. Have you managed to meet with them?
Yes, I did manage to get hold of them, both of them, but unfortunately, I think one of them never had access to internet. We were supposed to hold a conference called the Three of Us. So unfortunately, we couldn't get hold of Philip.
Okay, yeah. Also, but the type of work he does is quite very challenging. So I think he will be understanding if the two of you can meet and start planning. And also, you have Bra Sydney here. In this regard, I'll call him Pastor Sydney because he does a lot of Sunday fellowship, gospel and fellowship. So if you can reach out to him and also just get guidance from him. Yours is going to be midday gospel and fellowship show on Sundays.
Correct, Brother, yes.
Lovely. I'll connect the two of you. Thank you. Is Nokwanda still here? Because I seem to be missing her. Okay, we probably lost Nokwanda. She has a show tomorrow with Ramavak. Great. I think we have to respect time. We're going to be looking off now. Janae, I lost you. Okay, you're back. Yeah, so this is the checkout time. Let's use the remaining time fruitfully to reflect on what we discussed today. What is the take home? But as you check out, please try to be as short and precise as possible. There are 5 questions that you're going to check out. Please check out with 1 question. We'll keep it holding for as long as we still have time. Otherwise, if it comes to the closing time, we will just unfortunately have to end. 5 points to check out with. First point is, what was confirmed for you by this show? Yeah? If you feel strongly that you want to pop up on that one, pop up and then tell us what was confirmed for you by this show. The second checkout point is an aha moment. At what point did you experience an aha moment? An aha moment is like the point at which a penny drops. And you said, oh, now I understand, it makes sense. For instance, maybe the objective of the radio and the show and things. The third point that you are not going to check on all of them, you just choose one of those. And the third one is, what are you taking home with you from this session today? If this was a meal at a restaurant and you have somebody at home, you want them to taste the meal you had, what is it you're taking home with? Do you take a bone? Do you take a steak? Do you take a salad? What is your take home to whoever you are going to tell at home about today's experience? The fourth point is what we call the new insight, something that you never knew of that really happened today and is a new learning, new insight, new knowledge. The last point, which the fifth point, is if you have been converted today, transformed today, what is the new thing you are going to start practicing going forward? But please don't spend too much time because we really want to accommodate as many people as possible. But choose one of those 5. Even if we repeat them, it's fine, as long as we checked out. So we have 14 minutes left. Just pop up. If you talk on top of each other, it's fine. We'll hear who talks first.
Right, Russell?
Yes, Abel?
Yeah, I think my take home is, one, appreciate that there is a caliber of team members here that one can be able to depend on, and preparation is very key. You know, what Romeo said also is very instrumental in terms of how do we take things forward, prove ourselves and things like that. And every colleague in here, I think they had a positive spin from the initial anxiety, in terms of what's awaiting, and our confidence is growing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I feel the same as well. Thank you very much for checking out for us, Ramavak.
Hello, colleagues. This is Tlalani. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tlalani.
All right. Reconfirmed the importance of planning and the importance of preparing the guest, as well as making sure that yourself and the co-host are actually in sync. You know each other. You have prepared the topic, and that's my confirmation.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Tlalani, for checking out. Tembela, I see you raised your hand.
Yes, I did. I'd like to share my aha. I think for me, it's just understanding that essentially what we are doing is communicating. And when we can do that effectively, the shows will be a success. And I actually found a really cool quote on communication, and it reads, "The power of radio is not that it speaks to millions, but that it speaks intimately and privately to each one of those millions." And I think it's just keeping in mind the listener and putting yourself in their shoes as we interview these guests, and we try to bring the best interviews for the listener, just to make it an intimate experience for the person on the other end. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Tembela, for checking out.
Maynard, dear.
Yes, Maynard.
Myself, I'm taking home the pre-warming of your social media before the show with the content. I think that is the key to me. I mean, I think I did great on my first show on that part as well. And radio ethics, that we don't have to throw each other under the buses. So I think that is what I'm taking home with.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks for checking out, Maynard.
Thank you.
Hi, I can go. Oh, you know what? I didn't even see if anybody's hand was raised. I'm sorry.
Yes, Janae.
Okay. Thank you. My aha moment and my takeaway was the fact that you reminded us of the central goal, which is that Kometsa is a human capital development company, and that we're learning as we're going along. I think that was a common theme. The preparation and all of that is central to it, but I think it's also inviting to our guests to know that they are helping that ecosystem, and you specifically use that word. So that is, sorry, people on the back, but there's something about that I think is too, about that intimate experience for each listener, even if it's making them feel like it's just them. Those are really good takeaways. And some of the things that Romeo talked about, some of his great tips were some things I wrote down as well, especially not to timestamp the broadcast because it'll be in replay and it will not be relevant in replay about what time it is.
Wow, beautiful. That I noted that. Thanks for bringing it back, for bringing up Janae, the advice from Romeo. Don't say good morning. Don't use time because then your podcast it will be played at a different time. Divesh, I see you raised your hand to check. Thanks for checking out Janae. Divesh.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you, team. For me, take home, work with your team first rather than looking for outside guests. Mostly because of reiteration in terms of what the platform is hoping to achieve. Don't overstress and overthink and allow oneself to learn from the mistakes. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Divesh, for that checkout. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sydney.
Yeah. My takeaway home, I just want to summarize it very quickly, is having a conversation, make a guest feel at home, strategy and content, and have a backup plan.
Beautiful. Thanks for checking out, Sydney.
Yep.
Hi, Sam. It's Tendani.
Yes, Tendani.
Yes. My take home quickly would be the importance of co-hosting and planning together with your with the guest as well, and understanding the objective of the radio station. We should not miss that. I think that is the most important 3 points that I'm taking home today.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. It's absolutely important. Thanks for checking out Tendani. Romeo, Seha, and Muligwe.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I firmly believe in the power of starting, the power of launching. It's the most important part of all of us. And you'll realize that once you are a champ, you'll realize that once you are, the best broadcaster this world has ever experienced. Always remember this grassroots level, because it's here where you will become the best. And I think for me, the takeout was when Bassem says, we are here to make those mistakes until we get them right. And I think that is very, very reassuring for me, and it never gets old. And one of my final thought is around, always remember with radio, you are talking to an individual. You are not talking to a group of people. So usually I know one of the on-air mistakes we'll make is like, you guys out there. So you always saying, I want to welcome you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. So you are talking to one person. Because remember, these people are not sitting in a group listening to you. They are sitting in there. Someone is sitting in a car. Someone is sitting at home. Someone is sleeping in a bed just listening. So you are talking to an individual.
Can I take that as my aha moment, Romeo? Thank you so much. Thank you. That's my aha moment. I'm not going to check out. I check out with your point. You are not talking to a group of people. You're talking to one person that's sitting in the corner there. Talk to that individual. Thank you so much, Romeo, for checking out. Seha?
Yeah, that's also a aha moment. I just written it down. But yeah, what confirmed to me today is all about planning. And when we talk about planning, it's not just you and your co-host. It's also planning with your guests and and your future shows. So yeah, so that is my takeaway from today.
Thank you for checking out, Seha. Muligwe?
And also stretching yourself.
Lovely. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Seha. Muligwe?
Thank you. I'll be very brief. Look, I think my concerned issue is that radio is a conversation. You are having a conversation with the audience. Just keep it like that. When I grew up, I always wanted to be a DJ. So this is a dream for me.
Wow.
So I'm going to take it like that. Yeah, I've always wanted to be on radio when I grow up. And I always told myself I will be one. So
and here you are. Here you are. Wonderful.
The takeaway for me is have a takeaway for your listeners. I like that.
Beautiful.
You must always have a takeaway for your listeners. And then because you must have a hook in terms of your content. I like that fact. innovation is not a musical, ICT. It's not like sports and art. So we have to find our content to make it more, more interesting. So that's our challenge.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for checking out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll hold it there. Jine, the last item on the agenda is yours. Please use the remaining 4 minutes to share with us that exciting story you shared with me that we decided to bring to the platform. Jine?
I'm here. Okay, thank you. Give me just a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On in my house, and everywhere I go, someone's talking. Give me just a second. I'm gonna go upstairs. Okay. No one's in here? Okay, good. I found a room with no one in here right now. All right. So I shared something with Sam, and it was that back in 2010, almost at the start of my business, that was 2 years before the start of my business, I wanted to find a way to blend the part of me that likes to hold conversation with my profession. And there was an audition at a pretty famous network over here in the States. And I went to audition for the television show, which was going to be called Host Your Own Show. And I went, there was a big casting call. You went into the director's tent. They sat around. It was 5 of you trying to pitch the show idea. And it was called One Extraordinary Life Show, which is the name of my company. I pitched it, and they give you about 10 seconds to pitch. Anyway, you were supposed to hear the next day whether or not you were going to be selected. As I walked away from the tent, I recorded a promo for the show. And long story short, I never got the call. And the show aired on the network, just the process of them selecting a person. But they never actually produced the show. It got canceled. And the promo that I recorded, I never saw the promo. But I had always, been thinking about what the show premise would be, that it would tie OD and business in together. And back in 2013, I had an opportunity to go to South Africa because the same network, there was a women's conference. I went to the women's conference and I connected with someone from OD out there. And we remained in contact. I interviewed the one person, Sam and I had this person as a connection on LinkedIn in common out there in South Africa. And we didn't have the program actually go online because I've been working towards this for a long time. Long story short, Sam and I connected paths. We crossed paths. And I had no idea about Kometsa Radio and started to learn more about what Sam does and how he does human capital development and is an executive coach. And one thing led to another, and here we are today. So the premise of starting the journey for this program to me started about 10 years ago. And I think what the beauty is now that we're all in this learning together, and the way that Sam has it developing, like we develop as people, as well as being able to bring other people in to help others grow with their knowledge. So I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity. But it was really exciting because it's just wonderful how God works and puts things together. Like I would never have imagined that now here's a talk show when 10 years ago I auditioned for the talk show, and the name of the network is the Oprah Winfrey Network that I auditioned for at the time. So it was, it's beautiful how God just works everything out. So I just really am grateful for the opportunity to meet all of you, and thank Sam for this opportunity as well.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful story. And yeah, that is how God works and how God brings us together. Thank you very much for sharing that story. And basically what you are saying, like Mudiko was saying, he has always wanted to become a DJ. Now here it is, he's starting his journey. So we plan, but God knows how to implement our plans. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed Module 2. I look forward to welcome you at Module number 3. You have the content, you know what it is, but as you have experienced it today, you don't expect me to come up with a bunch of books to throw them at you. We will be reflecting on our experiences, and that is exactly the methodology of learning that we are following. Those who know Lekgotla methodology, if you look deeper into our conversation, you will realize that there emerges the Lekgotla methodology of conversation. If you don't know about it, we'll talk about it next time so that you're also able to bring it into your show. Thank you very much. You take care, and let's enjoy the shows. Let the shows begin. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Cheers. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Goodbye.
Sam. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.